The silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, it's always present when you are in a championship game situation. And I got to say, Linda, and I know you don't love the Vegas Golden Knights, but we do have a mutual friend who got to hoist the Stanley Cup that night in Darren Millard, former colleague of both of ours. So I did have a moment where I was like, that's pretty cool. I want it back, though. Can I have it back, please?
They're Cheater McCheatersons. They are. There's like, oh, everybody's injured. Oh, suddenly I'm not injured just in time for the playoffs. But anyway, we're not talking about the American teams because we don't want you to win. We want a Canadian team to win. And there is a new national poll out from the Angus Reid Institute, and it is all about the playoffs and about the Canadian teams and how we feel. And Shachi Kurl, who is the president of the Angus Reid Institute, is here showing her preferences. So, all right, well then I'll show you who I'm cheering for.
It doesn't count unless you actually put the garment on, Linda.
Well, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So hello, thanks for coming in.
I feel like this is an SNL sketch and I'm already starting to break.
Okay, Kristen,
Bring it on.
All right, okay.
Okay, so I'm getting the sense that Canadians are getting fatigued with Americans winning the cup all the time.
I mean, there is that sense of, you can call it fatigue, you can call it hopelessness, you can call it depression, you can just call it like gonna go back to bed and pull the covers up over my head. Can I just remind us all that it was Montreal and it was Denis Savard? Like, it's not even the modern day Savard.
So what, 20 plus years?
It was 92-93 season. It was the 92-93 season. It's 31 years, exactly. Linda. Yeah. 31 years.
Can I ask you this?
Yes.
So in the poll,
yes.
The Maple Leafs bug me too, because the broadcasters seem to think there's no other team but the Maple Leafs.
I know.
And you're watching the Western feed of Sportsnet, waiting for the Oilers game, and they're still playing the end of the last 12 minutes of the Toronto game. What do people think about the Leafs, aside from people who live in Toronto?
So we asked a lot of questions.
Yeah.
We asked but I think the key question we asked is like, who do you think is going to be the team to break the
streak? Who do you think versus who do you want?
Yeah, well, there's that too. Okay. But you really do see the coalescing around Toronto. And I know because the results still put Toronto and Edmonton, Linda, for you. Yeah. Tied in terms of who they'd like to see win nationally at about 22-23%, right? So that's a tie. But then let's just stay on this and let's look at how that breaks down regionally. And you look at what's going on in Ontario, look at what's going on in Quebec, look at what's going on in Atlantic Canada, and that's really skewing that cheer base. Because let's face it, Atlantic Canada has no teams.
Right.
And they are an older demographic, so they're all like, I'm going to support a Big Six team. I remember back when it was,
How incredibly shocking that fans outside of BC don't love the Canucks. Woo! Didn't see that coming.
Did you see that? Like, 1 in 4 Quebecers, though, are like, allez, les bleus, let's go Canucks.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yes.
So
well,
funny.
yeah, we can throw it back up there.
Yeah. Why? What?
I mean, again, well, the Habs are out of it.
Habs
this
are out.
time.
They hate the Leafs. They don't want the Jets.
Correct,
and da-da-da-da. It's like,
correct. I'm like, that's the, so it's a split between Edmonton and the Canucks on that for those who just can't bring themselves to cheer in La Belle Province for Toronto. BC solidly all in on the Canucks. Sure. Good to see that. There's like some crazy 9%. Oh, we don't say crazy. We don't. Sure. There's an interesting 9% cheering for the Oilers.
Yeah.
The battle.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I see what I did there.
Yeah,
you see what I did there?
That's a good one.
Alberta's interesting because again, like Alberta is now solidly 2/3 Oilers nation. But, there's still that 1/3 that are Flames fans.
Battle of Alberta.
Not going there. Not going there.
I wouldn't cheer for the Flames either.
Yeah.
No.
God love them. God love them.
So without the deeply entrenched, obviously, Leaf fans going to be... I worked in Toronto for almost a decade. Worked for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Leaf fans are starved. It's been...
They feel that way.
It's been 56 years for them, right?
Yes.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But they also have the entitlement piece a little bit too.
Yeah.
Who is it that if all of the teams were sort of in the mix, but the diehard ones, if the Oilers were out and the Leafs were out, and it was just the Canucks and the Jets, would everybody then go, oh well, let's give it to Winnipeg?
I mean, maybe
You know?
you could see that, but I think the one thing that's really notable, because we ask these questions like every year that the drought continues, we ask this question. I don't know what we're going to do when a Canadian team finally breaks the drought.
Like,
but yeah, but then
You'll
it's like,
rock
what
your
will
Canucks.
we ask about?
Yeah.
I know I will cry ugly tears because they've been breaking our hearts, these Canucks, since before I could read.
Yeah.
That said, in the past it's been like, well, suppose there's the Canucks are the only team left standing, or suppose the Jets are the only team left standing. How will you feel about that? This is the year that we've seen the most Canadians actually coalescing and saying, we'll just be happy to see a Canadian team make it all the way, which is, it is a level of, I think, speaking to that starvation or that desperation for like anybody, for the love of God, let's just see a Canadian team finally, win it.
Were you able to see a difference in the number of people who were embracing the NHL? Because for a while there, it was sort of, the numbers were going down. Are people coming back? Is it, they're excited maybe because the 4 Canadian teams have a chance?
That's a huge driver. You've actually got, so let's see how this continues. How many make it through that first round? Because we've had years where there was 4 teams going in the first round or more, and then they all get knocked out, or most of them get knocked out.
Such a drag.
And so, I think that this is an opportunity, and of course, this is what Gary Bettman, aka the Count, I call him, from Sesame Street. I mean that in a loving way, of course. This is what he's hoping for. It's
no questions. As are the Canadian networks.
More viewers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do you think Vancouver is ranked as the 3rd most likely to win the Cup when they were like right at the top of the standings?
Yeah, again, I think there's a lot of emotion around that. Remember, not everyone's watching the standings obsessively and hitting refresh every day the way I am.
Yeah.
But there's I think just a lot of favoritism there, or people, going back to and leaning on the teams they think are favorites. And so when you've got that, hey, I'm a Maple Leaf fan, it's been a long drought, we deserve it this time, they're not only going to cheer for it, but that's their optimism behind it.
Right.
Same for the Oilers, and then same for the Canucks. And, the Canucks have had several outings to the final rounds and not made it yet, so maybe there's a little bit counting back against them as well.
But there's
I'll
also
go like this, and then I
but
wanna go
Jody,
like
you're
that.
the sports person. You tell
Thanks,
us. Thank you.
Woohoo! If it was all about being on paper and what people thought, we wouldn't have sport the way we have sports,
That's
right?
true.
Like lightning in a bottle
Yeah.
is what it's all about, and that's why they play the games. Because
Okay.
in 1994, in covering the Canucks run, nobody expected the Canucks to get past the Calgary Flames.
No, it's
500
true.
hockey club, all season long, made it to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Granted, did not win. However, looking at what we're looking at right this very second, one really key member of the team goes down, and that changes the dynamic of everything. And injuries are huge, and the Stanley Cup is the most difficult trophy to win in all of sport.
And in fact, it's kind of that war of attrition. That 3rd round often is the best hockey.
You're right.
By the final, it's like this dude, his eye socket is gone.
God. One
this
hip.
dude's like
I remember
on
a
one
Sedin
hip.
on
This
one
guy's
hip.
got one
Yeah,
leg.
yeah,
And
totally.
And it's puck luck too. To your point, like in that Stanley Cup run, the Canucks could not lose in overtime in that run. The next season, they couldn't win in overtime to save their lives, and that's just the way it goes.
All
You and
right.
me both, baby.
Well,
Okay, baby.
Go to all of our teams. Go, yay Canucks.
Okay, can
Yay, Oilers.
I just say that
Yes.
Shachi Kurl is an unbiased pollster,
Yeah,
however,
right.
except for when it comes to this, she is not.
And we're going
Thank
to
you
go
very much
watch
for
and
that.
cheer them on.
Okay.
Thank you, Shachi Kurl.
Okay.
Love it.
Love it.
We'll all be watching.
We will indeed. I mean,
It'll be
you
fun.
and I will be like, hello.
Yeah, doodling.
Stay tuned, because the cutting room floor is knee deep in what the hell is wrong with people. We have so much to cover tonight.
Yeah, and up next, you don't have to like the PM, but I mean, this is going way too far. This is not
Oh, yeah, no.
okay. What the hell is wrong with people? That's coming up next.
Got to get into our viewing party. This is fun. I bet you they're all Canucks fans like you, Richard. Thank you, Richard.
Sharon and Coquitlam, hello to you.
And Sonia, all the way in Caslow. Thanks
And
for watching.
Susan in Duncan. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Viewing party brought to you by the BCRFA, and today up for grabs is a $100 gift card for Tap and Barrel. They got a new location in Brentwood.